So it looks like there's a new book that is coming out about the President of the United States, that being Donald Trump, but this one coming from his niece, Mary Trump. All right, and so it looks like The Hill has got it the book ahead of its publication date. It's coming out next week. There have been some court cases, basically Trump and his people trying to block the release of this book. They do that kind of thing quite a bit. Um, it accuses him of, quote, cruelty and incompetence and a penchant for lying and cheating that dates back to when he was a young adult. In her memoir obtained by The Hill ahead of next week's publication date, Mary Trump offers a jarring depiction of the Trump family, alleging that the president's father, Fred Trump, was a, quote, high-functioning sociopath, and that his treatment of his children created a, quote, atmosphere of division and encouraged what she describes as Donald Trump's narcissistic, arrogant, and grandiose behavior. Now, she's actually a clinical psychologist, which is interesting. And she says she considered speaking out in 2016 about the ways in which she knew her uncle to be, quote, completely unqualified for the presidency. It says she writes that the events of the past 3 years of the Trump administration, quote, have forced my hand and I can no longer remain silent. If he is afforded a second term, it would be the end of American democracy, she writes. So, she should have came out in 2016 if this is what she thought. I don't really know what held her back. But what I will say is, I think this is a big indicator or an example of what I'm trying to say about how there's going to be a lot of people who are either Democrats, Republicans, or independents who either didn't vote against Trump or voted for him, who are now just going to turn on him because they look at it. And these will mostly be non-Trump voters, although there will be some Trump voters who do this, who are going to turn on him because they see what he's actually done, right? You know, hearing Trump talk and yap and just, yap away and yap, because that's all he can do is just talk, right? It isn't actually, when push comes to shove, he just keeps talking. He doesn't do anything. So, and that's what we've seen. So I think there will be a lot of people who will come out this time against him because they're like, wow, I actually see what he's done, and so I really need to come out against him. But she probably should have came out. She should have came out in 2016 to say it. Now, would that have shifted the tide? Maybe, maybe not. Families are never fully intact in any way, shape, or form. Kamala Harris and Pete Buttigieg's dad. Pete Buttigieg's dad was a Marxist, a pretty famous one at that. Translated the works of Antonio Gramsci, who's, a leader of Communist Party in Italy back in the day. And so, around Mussolini time. And Kamala Harris's dad also, I believe, is a Marxist, but he did not approve of her politics and her run. Barack Obama had, I forget if it was like a half-brother or something who was, like this is not something new. Any family has stuff like this, right? So I don't think it necessarily would have turned the tide. It says the president's niece alleges that he meets the criteria of being a narcissist and possibly other disorders, but says a full diagnosis is currently impossible. Quote, Donald's pathologies are so complex and his behavior so often inexplicable that coming up with an accurate and comprehensive diagnosis would require a full battery of psychological and neuropsychological tests that he'll never sit for. So, honestly, I really don't think it takes a clinical psychologist to look at Donald Trump, hear what he's saying, see what he's doing, to realize that he's an incredibly, incredibly massive narcissist. A huge narcissist. All the dude talks about is himself. He, fillets himself nonstop. It's pretty obvious. So I totally agree that, yeah, he definitely has these kinds of issues, like, maybe even delusions, definitely delusions of grandeur. We've seen that video of him where he's pointing up and he's saying, someone's looking out, basically implying that, it's divine sort of sponsored, move for him to be leading and all this stuff. So it's pretty obvious that he has all those kinds of things. Honestly, it borders on schizophrenia. Mary Trump also alleges that Donald Trump, who at the time was attending Fordham University with the sights set on taking on a role second to his father at Trump management, paid someone to take his SAT exam for him as he was applying to transfer to University of Pennsylvania. Trump, who often mentions that he attended the university's Wharton Business School, was admitted and transferred from Fordham in 1966. So this is a big one that a lot of Trump's people are saying is a falsehood. Kayleigh McEnany came out and said that the book is full of falsehood. She didn't read the book or doesn't even know the allegations in the book apparently, but she just says, oh, it's just full of falsehoods. So that's what she's saying. So they're denying this, and I believe it was, I don't know, Trump's brother or Mary Trump's brother who was trying to sue to block this and disagrees and does not believe this. And Trump is an idiot. Like, he's legitimately, academically looks like a moron. And David Pakman actually has this video where he kind of breaks down how it's like, oh, Trump might not even really be able to read. And if you watch the video, it does look like he barely has a working ability to even read stuff. And when you're that rich and you're just so spoiled and all that kind of stuff, you know, it's not surprising to me at all. You know, it definitely looks legitimate to me. And certainly I would not be surprised if he paid someone to take his SAT. When you got that much money and that much power, familial ties, it's just, it's not really hard to see, man. It really isn't. So, I buy that as well. Now, am I 100% sure that it happened? I'm not. But I could definitely see it. I could definitely vision it being real. The book also states that Trump's eldest brother, Fred Trump Jr., Mary Trump's father, who had a history of alcoholism, went to the hospital alone on the night he died after suffering a heart attack, and that no other members of the family joined him. Donald Trump and his elder sister Elizabeth went to the movies, Mary Trump writes. So that's another big thing that would, basically point to Donald Trump being a sociopath. It says in her description of his political career, Mary Trump says family members did not take her uncle seriously when he ran for the White House, saying she believed he just wanted the, quote, free publicity for his brand at the start of his 2016 campaign. According to her account, the president's sister, retired Judge Marianne Trump Barry, called him a clown in a conversation the two women had and expressed strong doubts he would be successful in winning the election. Mary Trump also accused her uncle of blatant racism in his 2015 candidacy announcement speech, and writes that she and Marianne Trump Barry were baffled by the support he received from white evangelical voters. And then, of course, they came out. The Trump administration obviously came out. He sent out his press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany, to come out and basically say, hey, it's full of falsehoods. This is funny. It says, it's ridiculous, absurd allegations that have absolutely no bearing in truth. Have yet to see the book, but it's a book of falsehoods. So you didn't even know what's in there. She's saying it, which, I guess you could do that, but it just sounds really hilarious. Kellyanne Conway saying, hey, they're not put under oath, so you can't really trust this. Man, all of these press secretaries coming out and just denying everything here, obviously, is what they're going to do. And so, again, there's a legal fight going on. I guess it's Trump's brother, Robert Trump, who is filing suits to try to block this from being released. Mary arguing that, hey, if you block this release, you are violating my First Amendment rights. So I guess it's going to be released now. So this should be, I don't know if this is going to be a bombshell at all or not, or what's going to happen. We'll have to see. But a lot of the stuff in the book, I don't know, it just seems kind of, seems a bit basic. I'm not really sure. I definitely could see a lot of this being true. Is a lot of this false? I don't know. But one thing's for sure is I think a lot of this is definitely plausible.